Ladies and gentlemen, we're back with episode 2 of season 2 of NMI Sport Report. This week, I want to talk to you guys about how week 2 went as far as the best games, the worst games, best teams, worst teams, and the best that I hit. So we'll jump right into it. Starting last Thursday, we had the Packers versus the Commanders. Overall, pretty good game for Thursday night. We have seen the under hit in most of the primetime games. So that is a prop to watch for the rest of the season if it continues on this trend. It's an overall good game. Tucker Kraft had an amazing game. The Packers have about 20 receivers they can throw to, so it's hard taking overs and unders. The only props that I liked in that game was Josh Jacobs' touchdown and Jordan Love over passing yards. So those two definitely hit. Packers on the spread hit and the under hit. So overall, great game. Jayden Daniels did get hurt, though, and we'll get into that later in the episode about what I liked this week in that game. But great game for both the Packers and the Commanders. Jumping into Sunday, we had some very exciting football. We had the 10 a.m. games were absolutely electric. As far as my two favorite games of the week, I'd have to go with the Patriots-Dolphins game. That one was just back and forth, jab after jab. There was a punt return touchdown on the Dolphins side, and then a kick return touchdown on the Patriots side, back to back. And then that was just a shootout. Great play from both the running backs, the quarterbacks. It just made Tua look a lot better in the Dolphins, but the Patriots pull off the win. And I've been saying it, I think the Patriots are going to the playoffs. Not biased at all. The second favorite game of mine was the Colts hosting the Broncos. Daniel Jones might be the best quarterback in the league. I'm not just saying that, but he was really on a horrible team last year with the Giants. And being on the Colts this year, I think we could see them go to the playoffs and possibly make a run. They're the only team this season who has yet to punt the ball. The punter hasn't even seen the field because of Daniel Jones and Jonathan Taylor. That team just looks electric. They are firing on all cylinders. Their defense looks great. Their offense looks great. But that was my favorite game. They were down up until the last 20 seconds of the game. They were able to spike the ball, going for a field goal, and the Broncos guy on field goal block got a leverage penalty called on him, which the Colts missed the field goal because of the distance. They got moved up 15 yards because of the penalty, and he was able to drill it home. They ended up winning 29-28, and all three of my dogs of the week cashed. So I had my three dogs being Patriots, Colts, and Falcons come Monday night. And it was Falcons was Sunday night. They were dogs to the Vikings, which I thought was an overcorrection, but that one was my least favorite game for sure. It was very low scoring. We saw one touchdown, just a field goal battle, and it was very uninteresting, I guess, so to say, to watch. But favorite games for sure: the Colts and the Broncos, very electric game. The Patriots and the Dolphins, and then also that Bengals Jaguars and Cowboys Giants game were also really good. The Cowboys game had me sweating pretty hard. I had roughly $400 on the Cowboys money line in a parlay, and I was sweating. I think I consumed 4 beers in just the last 5 minutes of the game. It went into overtime, and it's going back and forth. I'm like, I'm going to get a tie. I'm going to wash. At least I don't lose money. And Aubrey, player of the game, kicker of the week, nails 2 50-plus yard field goals, not only to tie the game, to go to overtime, but also to win the game. And that was just an insane game. Helped me win money this week. I would have been down bad if the Cowboys lost, so that was very exciting to see that. The Lions looked amazing. I don't know if it's because they just played the Bears or if they are actually a good team, but I do have them in my power rankings, ranked in the top 10, so I still have high hopes for them. Them losing Ben Johnson didn't mean much. It's still the same team from last year with maybe even a couple upgrades, so not bad for them. The Steelers, I had them on a couple slips. They got screwed, I think, because of Caleb Johnson and the kickoff rule. The Seahawks looked really good. I think Sam Darnold started to find his rhythm again. So that was a great game. The Eagles Chiefs, that was another great game. Travis Kelce is still washed. I would like to see him, I don't know, probably retire after this season because he's not it. The talks about Rob Gronkowski versus Travis Kelce, Rob clears every time. Travis is just not a great QB, or I'm sorry, a tight end. And we see this now a couple weeks into the season, the Super Bowl last season. Nothing's going right for the guy. So I don't know. If he needs to retire, I think the Chiefs need to start a rebuild or something. Mahomes, I would say, is still a great quarterback, but his receivers right now are down bad. If they get Rashee Rice back, Xavier Worthy back, I think it opens up that receiving game, and they might look like a little bit of a better team. But for now, they're not doing so hot. So Chiefs, I don't know what's going on. That was Mahomes' first time in his whole career losing 3 games in a row. We've never seen that out of Mahomes. I think they were saying since high school, college, and NFL, Mahomes has never lost 3 games in a row, and he just did. He lost the Super Bowl, week 1 versus the Chargers, and week 2 versus the Eagles. So first time we're experiencing history. That Panthers-Cardinals game, that one I thought was supposed to be very one-sided. Bryce Young is like a second half player. He actually turns it up in the second half. And they started to come back, not because of how they were doing, but also because the refs, they were getting bailed out. You would just see this penalty after penalty, bailout after bailout, just driving down the field because of penalties. I thought they were going to come back and win that game, but they got the onside kick. Just everything was going right for them. But then Bryce Young, just in regular midseason form, gets sacked on 4th down, can't complete a pass, and they turn over on downs. It was a good game, though. I thought it was very electric at the end to see Bryce Young start to find his rhythm. This week is going to be a little scary. So after week 2, I could say that the favorites have been pretty consistent, but teams they have enough information, enough film on other teams that they're going to be able to scheme better. Their teams are going to be a little bit better. Like we saw last night, the Bills versus the Dolphins. Dolphins actually kept it close, where everyone thought it was going to be a absolute murder, just a one-sided game. The Dolphins kept it close. They had enough film on the Bills to see what they do as a team. They got plenty of stops, and they could have potentially won that game. They covered the spread. I think the spread was closing time 11.5. It started at 10, went all the way to 12.5, and I think it closed at 11.5. And I was telling people either take Bills money line with a bunch of props to get a nice parlay going, or take the Dolphins plus the points because I think they cover. And then I liked the under a lot as well, so that was good to see. But the over did hit. I think the over under was at 48.5, and the game ended 52. So, but we're gonna start seeing a lot more upsets, I think, for week 3. So be prepared. Don't get caught taking all the favorites again this week, because I don't think that's how this week's going to go. There's a lot of closer matchups, a lot more film on teams, and stuff like that. But as far as bets this week, everything that I posted smacked. If you guys tailed my bets from my video on the Instagram on Sunday morning, all those bets smacked. I went 15-1 again this week. So last week I went 15-1. This week I go 15-1. I think up right now. So I usually bet a $50 unit. Sometimes I'll get kind of crazy and do 100 or so. But based on my profits over the last 2 weeks and doing my units right now, I'm up 80 units. So that's amazing. You guys can do the math on that. 80 units times $50. I'm up around 4,000. I've only had 2 losses, being week 1 loss of the Ravens hosting the Bills. That was very sad to see them lose a 15-point lead with 4 minutes to go. And then I lost on the Steelers this week. I was thinking that Rodgers and the boys are going to do it again. I underestimated the Seahawks. And just due to simple mistakes and momentum, Seahawks pulled it off. So that's all right. Can't win them all. But 30-2 over 2 weeks is a great record. I think this week I'm going to be closer to maybe 10-6. I don't think I'm going to have as great of a week, so tail with caution this week. I'm just giving everyone a warning. It's going to be a lot of upsets. I think a lot of close games. Spreads are going to be covered. Vegas is starting to get their lines down because, as we see last week, the Vikings had a huge overcorrection. They beat the Bears, and all of a sudden they're this great team. But I had the Falcons like close to my top 10 in power rankings. I just didn't see how Vegas saw Vikings as a favorite. Sure, their defense is amazing, but McCarthy's still a rookie quarterback. Never got any snaps last year. So, I don't know. Vegas is going to start figuring it out. We got to be more careful. We got to be sharper. We got to watch the lines, watch where the money's at. There's a lot of things to look at. So, I'll get you guys into, real quick, the power rankings, and we'll go over the best players of last week for fantasy and performances. And then we'll get into week 3. So, as far as power rankings, I had done this with no sort of bias. More so, I was looking at how many points a team has put up on average over the last 2 weeks. How many points against have they taken? So I'm looking at like both offense and defense. I'm looking at coaching. I'm looking at kind of the teams that they played, how hard their schedule has been thus far. I mean, we have a small sample size, but for power rankings, I have the Ravens at number 1. I think they should be 2-0. They got kind of screwed on that week 1 versus the Bills, just due to silly mistakes. And honestly, you can't be mad as a Ravens team, you can't be mad at yourselves going into the rest of the season because it's only up from here. Losing that game to the Bills on a comeback versus a Bills team that is amazing is a great spot to be in. I have Packers at number 2. They look really good, but again, they've only played a couple middle of the pack teams. So until we see them play someone crazy, I can put them at number 2 with confidence, but we'll see how well they adjust. And when it comes time to play those teams, we'll see. We have the Bills at number 3. The Bills, again, they've had like one tough opponent, one divisional opponent, and it's been close so far. But the Bills playing the Jets week 2, and then the Ravens week 1, kind of a similar thing as the Ravens playing the Bills and the Bills playing the Ravens playing the Browns and the Bills, and then the Bills playing the Ravens and the Jets. Very similar situations. They're both up in the power rankings, but based on points for and points against, coaching, all those things, I do have Ravens, Packers, Bills in my top 3. It was kind of tough for me to put Eagles at number 4, but they are just another 2-0 team. I'm thinking this week is going to be my favorite upset of the week to take the Rams versus Eagles. The Eagles, Jalen Hurts has yet to throw for over 100 passing yards in a game. Ever since they lost their offensive coordinator, they haven't had a great passing offense, so just relying on the tush push, which I'm thinking this week is going to be called a lot for false start. There was a couple clips that I watched last week of false starts going on that the refs didn't catch. So they're going to be looking at that extra this week. So we'll possibly see if the Rams can get some stops. We get some penalty calls on the tush pushes, and they just play a good game on offense. Stafford and McVay, I think they can pull the win off this week. But Eagles right now, I do have them in my number 4 spot. They played the Chiefs, which everyone thought was going to repeat and be such a good team at the start of the season. And then I forget who their week 1 matchup was, but the Cowboys, was it? Yeah, I think it was the Cowboys. That was a great game as well. I think that was the opening. Let me see. I got to check back now because I can't possibly lost here. Yeah, Cowboys week 1. Close game as well. So they played both games now. Eagles covered spread versus Chiefs, but Cowboys covered the spread versus Eagles. Both close games. I like the Eagles at number 4. I have the Rams at number 5. Also pretty great on both sides of the ball. Great coaching. Points for, points against. They look like a second half team. They have been worrisome in the first half, but second half they have been coming out on top. The Lions, I think week one was just trying to find coaching, but they still are a great team. I don't think there's any chance that they beat the Ravens this week, but I'll get into that narrative later in the video or later in the podcast, because there's a narrative about the Lions and the moon coming up on Monday. So, but I like the Ravens this week. But I got Lions at number 6, Chargers at number 7. Chargers look like a great team. They're doing great on both sides of the ball, getting interceptions and playing great offense. Their receivers, Quentin Johnston's finally catching the ball, so that looks really good. The Buccaneers, I like them. Baker is just unreal. That comeback versus the Texans, I think they should absolutely demolish. I think they're playing the they're playing the Jets. Playing the Jets at home. I think that should be just a phenomenal matchup this week. They're definitely going to cover the points, so that's one of my favorite bets of the week as well. I have the Colts at number 9. Colts are the only team thus far who not only are 2-0, but they beat a team that people were talking about was supposed to be good this year in the Broncos, but also they're the only team that has not punted the ball once. The punter hasn't seen the field one time for the Colts. So Daniel Jones might be MVP this year or Offensive Player of the Year. Couldn't tell you, but he might win both for all we know. Great quarterback. I'm going to have to get his jersey this year. Daniel Jones has been one of my favorite quarterbacks for a while, but I think he was being stuck in the Giants didn't help him at all. That team is just a sad place to be. It's not, I don't know what's wrong with the Giants. I think they look great. The games that they played so far, they look really good, but Daniel Jones just wasn't the right QB in that system. Being on the Colts now, I think Daniel Jones has a chance to possibly take them all the way. But I like the Colts at number 9. And then 10, I was kind of back and forth. My 10 spot, you could put so many different teams here. It's still so early, but I still like the Commanders. Although Jaden Daniels is out this week, I'm still going to put the Commanders at number 10. So those are my top 10. You got Ravens, Packers, Bills, Eagles, Rams, Lions, Chargers, Bucks, Colts, and the Commanders at number 10. Best performances of the week, I have Jared Goff at quarterback. Russell Wilson, honorable mention, but Jared Goff, 5 passing touchdowns, 334 passing yards, 23 completions on 28 attempts. Russell Wilson, I'm going to have to give his stat line too as an honorable mention. Guy threw for 450 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, 30 of 41 completions to attempts, and 1 interception. But Russell Wilson played a great game. Actually outscored Goff on fantasy points because of the yardage, but Goff got quarterback of the week. Jonathan Taylor, running back of the week. 1 receiving touchdown. He had 25 rushes for 165 yards and 2 catches of 50 receiving yards. So he went absolutely berserk. Malik Neighbors, 9 catches on 13 targets for 167 yards and 2 touchdowns. I thought he was single-handedly going to beat the Cowboys himself. Him and the Giants do not look bad. I'm not going to lie. They could be potential playoff team. It might be one of the toughest divisions right now in the league. We got the Commanders, the Cowboys, the Eagles, and the Giants. And it just looks like a tough conference or division. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's a race there at the end of the season to see who's going to make the playoffs. But that team looks really good. Malik Neighbors and Wan'Dale Robinson, honorable mention, along with Russell Wilson. They both were on the receiving end of 450 passing yards. Wan'Dale had an absolute game. I don't think he scored any touchdowns, but he was right there behind Neighbors. They look really good. Tucker Kraft at tight end versus the Commanders this week. 6 catches on 7 targets, 124 yards and a touchdown. He's potentially injured this week with a knee injury, so if you have him on fantasy, have a substitute ready or keep up with his news, because I don't know if he's playing, but he does look amazing, helping out Jordan Love. And then kicker of the week, we have Brandon Aubrey on the Cowboys. I think he deserves player of the week too, because he saved that game. He went 4 for 4 with extra points and 4 for 4 with field goals. And all 4 of his field goals came from 40 yards plus. There was nothing under 40 yards. 2 of them being between 40 and 49 yards, and 2 of them 50 plus. And that was the game tying and the winning field goal. Brandon Aubrey, I'm going to have to clap it up for him real quick. That was an absolute, I think, player of the week goes to a kicker. So that's very rare, but he's an unreal kicker. And to save that game and to get them the win, I'm going to have to give it to him, hands down. Okay, so that was my power rankings and best players of the week. We'll jump into matchups for this week. I'll go over who I think is going to win every single game. These are early leans, by the way. I will be posting my official bets come Sunday morning before the game start. But this is just like off of face value and who I think is going to win. I have just looking at it. I'll talk briefly about it. I don't want to get too deep into it. Like I said, they're not for sure picks. But I had the Bills over the Dolphins last night. I have the Falcons over Carolina. I have the Packers over the Browns. I have the Jaguars at home versus the Texans, which scares me. The Texans could potentially get their first win. I have the Vikings at home versus the Bengals. Bengals are due for a loss. I have the Patriots at home versus Steelers. I have the Eagles at home, I need to switch that. I have the Rams away in Philadelphia. I have the Buccaneers at home. This is their season opener, by the way. So, favorite bet of the week, Buccaneers. I have the Colts visiting Tennessee. I have the Chargers at home versus the Broncos. I have the Raiders in Washington versus the Commanders. I have the Seahawks at home versus Saints. I think this is their season opener as well. I believe they're on the road their last 2 games. If I'm not mistaken, I can check in just a second. I have the Cowboys on the road at Soldier Field, although that one scares me too. I have the 49ers at home versus the Cardinals. I have the Chiefs on the road versus the Giants. And come Monday night, I have the Ravens at home versus the Lions. Let me check back and see. I think it's the Seahawks season opener at home. I have to check, though, because I forget where they played. They were at Pittsburgh week 2 and week 1. I want to say they were on the road again. No, they were at home versus the Niners. Okay. I forget. I know there's 2 home openers this weekend. One was the Buccaneers, and potentially, was it the Panthers? There was someone opening up at home that kind of scared. It is. So, the Panthers home opener versus the Falcons. I was hearing some stuff about it that it could be kind of sneaky pick to take them on the with the points or straight up versus the Falcons, being a divisional game. Bryce Young didn't look bad. He started to heat up at the end of the game last week. But the Falcons, I mean, I could put them in my power rankings top 10. Like, they're not a bad squad. They beat the Vikings and the Bucks week 1. So, they lost on the field goal. They should have won versus the Bucks week 1. They lost to the Bucks based on Young Hoku missing that field goal. But Falcons, I mean, they're a pretty good squad. Bucks being number 8 of my power rankings, and they lost, should have won versus on a field goal. Vikings with a very strong defense, and J.J. McCarthy just had an off game. I just don't see a world where the Panthers home opener goes the way that the public is thinking, but could be a sneaky narrative to look at, because home openers, I think that, like, as a home team, they're either going to cover the points or win straight up. The Buccaneers, I have no doubt about. They're actually my favorite bet of the week. So after my picking each winner from every game, I'll go over my best bets. So I have 5 of my best bets this week. I like the Bucks minus 6.5 at home. The Falcons, short road trip to Carolina, minus 5 are on the money line. I think they're like a minus 245 on the money line, but Falcons minus 5. I like the Colts minus 4. I like the Niners minus 3, as well as the Rams plus 3.5 or money line. and the Raiders +3. And we'll get into why real quick. The Commanders this week, they're a great team, but Marcus Mariota is starting at quarterback. They just announced Jaden Daniels out as of today. This morning, Jaden Daniels is not playing Sunday. Raiders have looked like a fairly good squad. They played a Super Bowl contending Patriots team. They lost to a playoff contending Chargers team. Now, I think the Raiders can pull this off. Marcus Mariota doesn't have a whole lot of experience. I don't remember the last time we saw him behind the center, taking snaps and actually playing in a game. So, a little scary. I think he might have done a game or half a game last year. I think Jaden Daniels was in a similar situation where he did get hurt and Mariota came in. He possibly started week 18, the closing week, just to give the starters a break, but I forget. I don't see him getting that offense electrified and going. He doesn't have the same legs that Jaden Daniels has. Going against Max Crosby on the end and a Raiders defense that looked pretty good the last two games, I think the Raiders upset. It's the same reason I think the Rams upset. I think they're getting a revenge game going back into Philly, losing that NFC, was it the conference game versus the Eagles in the snow. The Rams aren't used to that. It's going to be pretty good weather. I think this is going to be a revenge game. I think their defense shows up. Jalen Hurts gets exposed for not passing the ball. If they can just find a way to shut down the tush push, and I think the refs will shut it down this weekend with the false starts, but the tush push, and they find a way to stop Saquon, I think the Rams pull that one off. Niners is a no-sweat bet, I think, in my opinion. I think the Niners playing the Cardinals, and they're at home in the Bay. Mac Jones looked pretty decent. I thought he was a pretty good quarterback coming into the league, and I think he can continue his little run that he's got going. And the Cardinals, as close as they were to the Panthers on Sunday, I think the Niners cover that 3 points. Bucks home opener, no doubt in my mind, they cover at least a touchdown. The Falcons and Colts, that's where it gets a little tricky. Both minus and favorites on the road. I think you can buy some points or put them in a teaser and be totally fine. So I think those are like my top 5-6 plays of the week. If you're going to take any bets, those are probably my best ones. Touchdown scorers. I have yet to hit a touchdown scorer parlay. I got pretty close over the weekend. I think I was waiting on Tyreek Hill and Keon Coleman, but I hit like DK Metcalf. I hit some other guys. I think keeping touchdown scores in 2-team parlays spread out instead of 8 guys on one slip, $5 to win however many thousand. A lot smarter to throw 2 guys on a bunch of slips, and you're still getting pretty good juice. So you're getting like plus 400s, plus 500s. You're getting pretty good stuff. So there's no reason to throw them all on one big slip, which is what I've been doing. But I'll give you my top 5 favorite touchdown scores of the week. These guys have either scored every week, are going for a record, or have not scored yet, and I think they are absolutely due. So we have Josh Jacobs. He's going to tie LaDainian Tomlinson's record of most consecutive games with a touchdown. I think 12 games is the record. And Josh Jacobs is sitting at 11, or they're both at 12 and he's going to break it. But I know Josh Jacobs has everything to play for, but he's like minus 200 touchdown scorers. So definitely pair him with one or two of these guys on this list. So Josh Jacobs being number 1. I love Drake London versus the Panthers. I don't know if we see him finally score a touchdown. I think he got pretty close on Sunday night versus the Vikings. He had given up that fumble, but he's just so due. I think Drake London's super due to put up a touchdown, possibly 70-plus yard receiving game. I like CeeDee Lamb. The guy's absolutely due, going up against the Bears at Soldier Field. Brian Thomas Jr. Let me take a sip of tea real quick. Brian Thomas Jr. The Jaguars receivers right now have yet to figure it out. Travis Hunter, Brian Thomas Jr., Brian Thomas Jr. looked like he was seeing ghosts on Sunday versus the Bengals. I like Brian Thomas because I think he's due. The same way Drake London, CD are due, Brian Thomas is absolutely due to put up at least one tutty this weekend. I think him and Josh, or all three of those receivers, Drake, CD, and Brian, probably the best I think that for sure going to hit. You can even throw in the little Drake and Josh touchdown parlay, throw in Josh Jacobs and Drake London, make it fun. And then lastly, I like Trey McBride. Everyone was thinking, okay, when is this guy going to score last year? I think he had 1 or 2 touchdowns at the end of the Cardinals season. This guy is due. It's week 3. He is so due. Let's find 6 for Trey McBride. Kyler Murray at least gets 1 or 2 touchdowns versus the Niners. Niners defense still looks good. It's a divisional game, NFC divisional game with the Niners at home. I think the Cardinals still got to put up points. It's going to look like exactly how we saw the Bills-Dolphins last night. Give me Trey McBride to find 6. He's just so due. So it's just my list of, I think, the matchups that they have, how due they are, and Josh to just extend his record. Those are my top 5 touchdown scorers. Like I said, probably the best bet would be the Drake and Josh touchdown parlay. Hit Drake London, Josh Jacobs, and I'll see you at the counter. Play the props this week. I have picked 4 sneaky ones that I think are possibly oxygen. I think you need these. I think you need to put them onto your prize pick slips. I have the first one being Carson Wentz under center to throw over 201 passing yards versus the Bengals. The Bengals have one of the worst secondaries in the league, like 20 plus. I think Carson Wentz can get the job done. The guy is a veteran in the league, taking over that offense for the Vikings. I think he can get the job done. 201 yards and versus Bengals, sorry secondary defense. I think he could do it. He's got Justin Jefferson, Hawkinson, Naylor. They got plenty of weapons. I think they get the job. I think Carson gets the job done. Take him over pass yards. Cam Ward over rush yards. The Colts gave up 18. I forget the number. I think it was more than 18. More than 18 rushing yards to Bo Nix over on Sunday versus the Broncos. And the Titans are playing the Colts at home. And Cam Ward's rush yards is at 9.5. As we've seen, I think that he can get at least 10. He doesn't rush a whole bunch, but with that receiving core that he has to deal with, he's going to have to create opportunity. I'm sure he gets loose for at least a couple. Let's take Cam Ward over 9.5 rush yards as well. I like Cam Scatterbo over 33.5 rush yards. He got a lot more of the carries on Sunday. They started to take away from Tyrone Tracy, start handing the ball off to Scatterbo. I think he finished with around 25. His line set at 33. If he gets more carries this week, going against a Chiefs defense that just gave up 88 yards to Saquon, I think they can pull that off. So Scatterbo over 33.5 rush yards. It's a short line. Throw that on the slip. And then lastly, with the Packers wide receivers that are hurt right now, my favorite receiver on their end is Romeo Doubs. Jordan Love loves the deep ball. He airs it out on a lot of his passes. He'll get those huge plays. He's got the big play bonuses, and I think he hits Romeo Doubs over 38.5 receiving yards. That's 2 catches right there. If they do some short yardage stuff, we're looking at maybe 8 catches, but he's going to be their wide receiver 1 this weekend with the injuries that are going on in Green Bay. Take Romeo Doubs over 38.5 receiving yards. So Carson Wentz over 201 pass yards. Cam Ward over 9.5 rush yards. Scatterbo over 33.5 rush yards. And Romeo Doubs over 38.5 receiving yards. That sounds green to me. That sounds like a great stuff. You got Prize Picks, Underdog. those player props bets on your book, whatever it is, throw those 4 in. I think that's a can't miss player prop parlay right there. Going into Sunday, so before we start placing bets, let's look at college real quick. I have a college teaser for you guys to put in for tomorrow. Put in like a 4 to 6 point teaser, and I think this is how we build a bankroll going into Sunday, and we can make some parlays. I'll have all my bets posted on the Instagram today, tomorrow, and Sunday. I'm going to probably do baseball today, and we do have one. Do you have a college game tonight? I don't think I was going to take any of the college games tonight because they weren't too appealing. Yeah, the matchups are just kind of too close for comfort for me. Although we can maybe throw Oklahoma on a. We could maybe throw Oklahoma on a teaser if I take the Oklahoma State, OKST, Oklahoma State. Okay. So we're going to do a teaser anyways. So actually I like that. So today we do have 1 game today, 3 games tomorrow. We throw these 4 on a slip, on a teaser, a 4 to 6 point teaser, or even a 10-point special teaser. And I think this wins. This is how you build your bankroll for Sunday. But let's jump right into it. So tonight we have Oklahoma State minus 10.5. You take them on a anywhere between 4 to 10 point teaser, they cover every single time. 10.5 is a lot of points to lay in college. I don't think it's going to be as one-sided, but if we take the teaser, I think we're safe on the points. We have UNLV minus 2.5. You take them on a 4 to 10 point teaser. Now all of a sudden they're plus the points. I like them. I think they're playing at home as well. Oklahoma at home. Them and that quarterback, John Mateer. He looks like a Heisman candidate this year. Oklahoma's minus 6.5 on the spread. We take them on a 6-point teaser. They're all of a sudden straight up money line. Or a 10-point teaser, you get plus 4.5 points. So I like them on the teaser. And then lastly, Miami minus 8.5. Take them on the 6-point teaser. All of a sudden they win by a field goal. You're good. So I like, if we do a 6-point teaser, we'll do the math real quick. We'll got UNLV plus 4.5. We have Oklahoma minus a 0.5 point. We have Miami minus 2.5 points. And we have OKST minus, or Oklahoma State minus 4.5. So roughly 2 field goals. And that gets us to the counter. Take them. I like the 6-point 4-leg teaser to get us to Sunday. I'm going to go over Dylan's dogs real quick. We have the Patriots versus Steelers at home. I think the Patriots record versus Steelers in the last 10 years looks very good. Patriots coming off a lot of momentum last week, and going into this game, I think it should be electric. I think the Patriots cover. I think they're 1.5-point dogs. So I like them on either the money line or the points, but keep the points. I think they're winning on the money line at home. Vrabel looks like he's firing on all cylinders, get the boys hyped. So let's take the Patriots as the first dog. We like the Rams plus 3.5. Also, I think you can keep the points. I like them on the money line as well. Going into Philly, revenge narrative, going to get the job done for that NFC conference game last year. So let's take them either plus 3.5 or keep the points. I'll take the Rams. And the Raiders, they are plus 3 on the. Let's check it out real quick. Raiders, yeah, plus 3 in Washington. Like I said, I like them straight up. Keep the points or take them if you're scared. But those are Dylan's dogs of the week. Patriots, Rams, Raiders to get the job done as a dog. So we'll hear the dogs barking come Sunday, hopefully. And then I have 2 crazy plays. I don't know if I'm going to post them on my Instagram because they're just kind of long shot lottery parlays, but I have a point spread lay and a 12-team lay to close out the podcast for today. First off, I have my money line 12-team parlay. This one's going to be $11 to win $4,200. I have the Colts on the money line, the Falcons on the money line, Packers on the money line, Buccaneers on the money line, Seahawks money line, Rams money line, Patriots money line, Chargers money line, Jaguars money line, 49ers money line, Chiefs money line, and Raiders money line. So that's all the favorites that I had, plus Dylan's dogs on this 12 team. That's $11 to bring home 4,200. And the next play, this is more of a just covering the points for the teams that are also dogs. I have them with more points or less points. So I have the Niners on the money line. I have the Seahawks minus 2.5. So I brought their point total down 5 points. I took the Chargers plus 4.5. They are actually favorites versus the Broncos, but I took them plus points just to be safe. I took the Raiders plus 8.5. I think there's no way that they don't cover 8.5, if not win straight up. The Colts were -4, but I took them -2.5 just to win by a field goal, bought a couple points. Vegas knows, like I said, they're going to be a lot more accurate this week. We have the Buccaneers cover a touchdown home opener, 6.5. I have the Patriots plus 7.5. I think they win straight up, but there's no way they lose by more than 7 or 8 points. I have the Rams plus 7.5. Like I said, I think they win straight up, but there's no way they don't cover 8. And I have the Falcons -8, 1.5. That's a field goal or a short, close game. I think they can cover that. And lastly, the Packers minus a field goal, so -2.5. $8 pays $362. So just 2 lottery parlays that you got to hit either 10 or 12 legs to make money. Very doubtful that they hit, but just throw them in just to have some fun. I'll have my actual bets, ways for you guys to make money coming up. I'll post them tonight, tomorrow, Sunday. And my favorite one of tomorrow, at least, I told you guys to sign up for Robinhood last week because you can do contracts to build up your bankroll. I initially started with $6 in my Robinhood that was not in any stocks. Well, since then, I have pulled it up to $50. And for tomorrow, I have Oklahoma, John Mateer and the boys. I bought 62 contracts to make $62. So we're taking that. Again, Robinhood, if you guys want to invest, do stocks. This is a great way. You can buy contracts of teams that you think are going to win, flip that money, throw it into a stock that's going to go up, or when it's down, throw it in there, let it go up. But do your research, figure out which ones you like. But it's a great way to make money. Underdog now, I know they're doing money lines as well. You can take money lines on Underdog. So those ones I've kind of been doing a similar thing. I started with like $3 and I'm up to like 30. So just slowly, just taking one team a week of like a favorite that I think is going to win, building up these small bankrolls that I can use later dates to try to get something bigger. So with that note, I'm going to leave you just with this last thing. This is week 3 public against the spread and top money percentage bets. So week 3, Vegas is going to have a week if the Patriots lose outright to the Steelers. The top bet percentage, there's 86% of bets on Patriots plus 1.5, 75% of bets on Commanders minus 3.5, 73% of bets on Eagles minus 3.5. There were 71% of bets on the Bills minus 11.5. We saw last night they did not cover that. The Dolphins covered. We had the Chargers, 68% of bets to cover 2.5. 67% of bets on the Niners to cover 2.5. 66% of bets to cover Carolina plus 5.5. 66% of bets for the Ravens to cover 4.5. 64% of bets of Buccaneers to cover 7. And Bears plus 1, 64% of bets. Where all the money's at this weekend, so far this week, as of I think yesterday, the Chiefs. There's 78% of the money on the Chiefs, minus 6.5. I think the spread's come down to, I think it was at 5 opening, and it's gone to 6.5. But 78% of the money on the Chiefs, so Vegas wins if the Giants win. So forewarning. Seahawks, minus 7.5. There's 78% of the bets, tied with the Chiefs. or I'm sorry, 78% of the money this week is on the Seahawks minus 7.5 to cover against the Saints. Scary game. The Saints, I mean, they're due for a win. They looked decent in the last couple of weeks, keeping it pretty close. 7.5 is a lot of points to lay down, but I think the Seahawks can get the job done. Falcons minus 5.5, 74% of the money. 72% of the money on Cardinals plus 3. 71% of the money on Buccaneers minus 7. 70% of the money is on the Rams plus 3.5. 68% of the money on the Cowboys plus 1.5. 67% of the money on the Texans plus 1.5. And 67% of the money on the Colts minus 3.5. And lastly, 67% of money on the Chargers minus 2.5. So just beware this weekend if you are taking any of the money side of things or the bet percentage side of things. Vegas wins if those lose. So just warning to everybody betting with the public. I like to look against the public sometimes because that's where you make a majority of the money, because Vegas knows they write these lines for a living. There's a lot of things that go into it, as well as there's upsets. So just be careful this weekend. You guys be safe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.